In the heart of Africa's wilderness, survival reaches its harshest form when drought devours the land. The earth cracks, water vanishes, and the air scorches under a relentless sun. This is a deadly drought, an invisible foe that spares no creature, regardless of strength, size, or experience. Even the toughest animals are forced to yield. Hunger weakens, thirst gnaws, and exhaustion turns every step into a critical choice. Here, the struggle for survival is no longer just predator versus prey. It is a battle against the very environment, pushing life to its ultimate limit. In this unforgiving world, not all will endure. Some fall so that others may carry on. In the African savanna, when drought reigns, survival is not a right. It is a hard-earned privilege. Welcome to a wild kingdom where nature reveals its cruelest face, and where even the strongest learn that some battles cannot always be won. Across vast stretches of Africa, rainfall can vanish for extended periods, sometimes lasting several years in a row. When this happens, rivers that once carved their way across the plains shrink into dry, dusty channels. Lakes gradually dwindle, breaking into small, scattered pools coveted by countless animals. Water, long the lifeblood of the savanna, suddenly becomes the scarcest and most perilous resource. Wherever it remains, species gather, and where life concentrates, tension rises, disease spreads, and death lurks. During extreme drought, temperatures often soar beyond 40 degrees Celsius. The afternoon sun does more than warm, it punishes without mercy. Evaporation accelerates, and vegetation withers before it can fully mature. Grasslands, the primary source of sustenance for large herbivores, quickly lose their nutritional value. Though it may still appear plentiful, it no longer nourishes. Animals continue to graze, yet their bodies weaken day by day. This is a form of hunger that is silent, relentless, and inevitable. Drought also reshapes the savanna's rhythms. Species that usually avoid certain areas begin to explore them. Journeys spanning tens or even hundreds of kilometers become routine in the desperate search for water. Ancient migration routes are retraced, perilous paths intersect, and the young that cannot keep pace fall behind. Every kilometer traveled exacts a heavier toll, leaving little chance for recovery. With water scarcity come hidden dangers. The few remaining pools, often contaminated, become breeding grounds for bacteria, parasites, and toxins. Even weakened. Animals drink because refusal means certain death. Many do not survive, succumbing days later to infections, extreme dehydration, or organ failure. Decline begins from within. First muscle mass fades. Then vital organs begin to fail. There is no struggle, no battle, only utter exhaustion. When drought grips the savanna, it is not always the weakest who fall first. Those who depend on abundance, stability, and balance are often the most vulnerable. Drought does not measure strength. It tests the capacity to endure collapse. Even the largest and most formidable creatures eventually begin to succumb. Lions, the undisputed symbols of strength and dominance, are among the first to feel the true impact of drought. Prolonged absence of rainfall causes herbivore populations to plummet, making hunting increasingly scarce and perilous. These apex predators rely on large, consistent prey to maintain their weight and energy. When that source vanishes, their bodies begin to deteriorate, muscle mass declines, vitality wanes, and every hunting attempt demands enormous effort. Failure no longer represents mere fatigue, it costs precious days of survival. Drought also disrupts the social fabric of prides. Lionesses, responsible for most hunts, are pushed to the limits of endurance. Cubs suffer from food shortages, and weakened dominant males lose territory to equally desperate rivals. Conflicts grow more frequent, yet even victory no longer guarantees a meal. In extreme conditions, survival instincts drive lions to unimaginable behaviors, attacks on members of their own group, abandonment of cubs unable to keep pace, and in rare cases, cannibalism. The king of the savannah does not fall to another hunter. His defeat comes silently, imposed not by an opponent, but by relentless scarcity and the unforgiving lack of resources. Elephants, the largest land animals on Earth today, face an especially harsh trial. An adult can require more than 150 liters of water each day, and during prolonged drought, this essential need becomes a sentence. Herds are forced to travel vast distances, sometimes tens, even hundreds of kilometers in search of water. The journey is slow, relentless, and devastating for the weakest members. Calves cannot endure such long days under extreme heat, and the oldest elephants, with worn-down teeth, struggle to process the dried and sparse vegetation along the way. Many collapse before reaching their destination. Others become trapped in dry riverbeds while attempting to dig makeshift wells with their tusks in a desperate effort to reach underground water. There are accounts of entire herds surrounding fallen individuals, repeatedly touching them as if unwilling to accept the loss. Drought does not only claim the physical lives of elephants, it also destroys social bonds and structures that have taken decades to form. Zebras experience collapse swiftly and mercilessly, relying almost entirely on vast grasslands. They quickly lose their main source of sustenance. Dry, brittle grass provides little nutrition and wears down their teeth. Without sufficient energy, their bodies weaken, immune systems fail, and disease finds the perfect conditions to spread. With each rainless day, a zebra loses speed, and in the savanna, slow movement can be a death sentence. Wildebeests, famed for their massive migrations, face an even more silent tragedy. Drought disrupts the balance of ancestral roots. Rivers vanish prematurely. Pastures fail to grow and natural corridors disappear. Yet thousands press onward, driven by instinct, even when the path leads nowhere. Some die from sheer exhaustion without ever falling. Others succumb near contaminated water holes, where stagnant pools breed lethal bacteria. During severe droughts, mortality can reach tens of thousands in a single season. The cruelest fact is that most do not fall to predators. There are no chases, no violence, only the gradual, relentless collapse of the body. The savanna becomes littered with corpses not taken by hunters but defeated by the environment itself. Each fallen animal leaves a void, an empty space, a motionless body, a resource that shifts into new hands. For most species, drought is a relentless threat. For the crocodile, however, it becomes the perfect hunting ground. Rather than weakening it, the lack of water reshapes the environment in ways that favor its method of hunting. As water sources dwindle, herbivores are forced to return repeatedly to the same spots. Paths become well-worn, routines predictable, behavior exposed. This is where the crocodile gains its advantage, a predator that thrives on routine, carelessness, and proximity. Unlike active hunters that expend energy chasing prey, the crocodile's effort is minimal. Its metabolism is slow, efficient, and extremely economical. It can survive for months without eating, waiting for the perfect moment. While other predators grow weaker from scarcity, the crocodile remains motionless, hidden in the mud, with only eyes and nostrils visible, almost indistinguishable from the murky water surrounding it. Drought also limits escape options. In flowing rivers, prey might flee to deeper or open waters. During dry spells, those options vanish. Shores shrink, become slippery and exposed. A single misstep or moment of distraction can be fatal. When the attack comes, there is no margin for error. No. Weakened by hunger and dehydration, animals respond more slowly. They have less strength to resist and a smaller chance to escape. The crocodile's explosive lunge becomes even more lethal. Drought does not just make hunting easier, it drastically reduces a victim's ability to defend itself. Another advantage comes from carrion. Many animals die near water, whether from exhaustion or disease from drinking contaminated water. For the crocodile, this provides a steady source of food. It does not rely solely on hunting. It also feeds on the deaths accumulating around it. Carcasses, whole corpses, and dying animals become a regular part of its diet during these periods. There is also a lesser-known behavior. In extreme drought, crocodiles can dig deep mud shelters called moist burrows, which retain humidity and protect them from intense heat. These refuges allow them to survive even when the surface appears barren. As the savanna cracks and collapses, the crocodile waits, buried and unscathed. In the logic of drought, it does not run, migrate, or compete, it simply remains. And the harsher the environment, the more efficient it becomes. While lions lose weight, it gains. While herds fragment, it grows stronger. Besides crocodiles, what other animals do you think benefit from drought in Africa? Share your thoughts in the comments. However, drought does not affect all species equally. Amid the savanna's decline, some animals thrive not by abundance, but through adaptation taken to the extreme. They do not fight the harsh environment, they have evolved within it. While others lose strength and energy, these species endure quietly, efficiently, and fully prepared. The oryx may be the clearest example of this resilience. A natural inhabitant of arid and semi-arid regions, it possesses a physiology designed to survive where few other forms of life can. Its metabolism can drastically minimize water loss, allowing it to go for days or even weeks without drinking. The oryx extracts the moisture it needs from the very dry plants it consumes, even when they appear completely withered. Even more remarkable is its ability to regulate body temperature. Unlike most mammals, which must maintain around 37 degrees Celsius, the oryx tolerates its internal temperature rising during the day, conserving water by reducing sweat loss. At night, when the air cools, it gradually releases the stored heat. On a savanna teetering on the edge of collapse, the oryx does not battle the climate, it adapts to it. At ground level, among the dust and cracks scorched by the sun, another survivor keeps moving. The African warthog, unassuming, often overlooked, and remarkably resilient. Unlike the more demanding herbivores, this animal is a complete opportunist. It feeds on deep roots, hidden bulbs, insects, carrion, and almost any organic matter it can find. When surface vegetation disappears, it digs. Its body is built to endure extreme heat and prolonged periods of scarcity. Even when weakened, it remains active. While many species leave the area in search of better conditions, the warthog stays. It does not rely on a lush savanna to survive. It makes do with whatever remains when everything else has collapsed. Then there are the meerkats, small, seemingly vulnerable, yet remarkably efficient. Living in colonies with complex social structures, they face the drought through cooperation and careful planning. Their extensive underground tunnel networks serve as natural shelters from the extreme heat, significantly reducing water and energy loss. While the surface scorches under the sun, the subterranean world provides protection. Much of the water they need comes from their diet of insects, larvae, and small vertebrates, nearly eliminating dependence on freestanding water. Add to this a constant system of vigilance that minimizes unnecessary risk. No movement is random. Every foray from the burrow serves a precise purpose. In an environment where every ounce of energy matters, efficiency becomes survival. Meerkats do not thrive, they endure. They do not dominate the savanna, they learn to withstand it. As larger animals fall and the landscape grows silent, these small survivors remain active, proving that in the savanna, size and strength are not guarantees. Survival depends on who can make the most of the least. But every act of endurance leaves traces, and wherever death accumulates, there are always others ready to seize the opportunity. With long strides across cracked earth and eyes that miss nothing, the ostrich emerges as one of the great survivors of Africa's harshest regions. In a landscape where water is scarce and every mistake can be fatal, this giant of the savanna does not rely on brute strength, but on its ability to anticipate danger. In Africa, surviving drought often means reading the environment before taking action. The ostrich moves across the dry plains like a living sentry. Its greatest advantage lies in its enormous eyes, the largest of any land animal, capable of scanning the horizon for kilometers. In a world where dust obscures everything and predators blend into the terrain, this exceptional vision makes all the difference. Long before a lion detects movement or a cheetah calculates its strike, the ostrich has already identified the threat. This early awareness does more than protect the ostrich. Its alert behavior serves as an unintentional signal for other savanna animals. Antelopes, zebras, and wildebeests learn to interpret its reactions. If the ostrich stands tall and tense, it is time to move. In a drought-stricken ecosystem, this silent cooperation increases the chances of survival for the entire community. When escape becomes inevitable and heat ripples across the air, the ostrich unleashes its next defense speed. With long legs and muscles built for endurance, it can reach over 70 kilometers per hour even across hard, dry terrain. Its stride spans several meters, allowing it to flee efficiently, a critical advantage when food and water are scarce. In extreme situations, if cornered, the ostrich can fight back. Its powerful kicks can inflict serious damage, a risk few predators are willing to take. Yet for this bird, combat is always a last resort. In a hostile environment, conserving energy is as vital as avoiding danger. The ostrich's adaptation to drought goes further. Its body is built to withstand extreme temperatures. It regulates internal heat with remarkable efficiency, and its plumage, far from mere decoration, acts as a natural ventilation system, protecting it during the hottest days of the African savanna. On a continent where water is scarce and survival depends on a delicate balance of vigilance, endurance, and strategy, the ostrich proves that surviving is not always about strength. It is about understanding the landscape and disappearing before danger becomes unavoidable. When drought reaches its most extreme point, the savanna begins to make a different sound. It is not the roar of a predator, nor the call of a herd. It is the heavy beat of wings. Vultures do not announce themselves, they simply appear. First one descends in the distance, and then another. Within minutes, dozens more follow. Soon the sky fills with dark silhouettes, circling silently in wide spirals over a single point on the ground. Where there is death, they know. Drought creates the perfect stage for this phenomenon. Carcasses accumulate. Exhausted animals die near waterholes, along worn trails, or beneath isolated shade, with no strength left to move. No dense vegetation hides the bodies. No deep mud conceals them. The dry savanna exposes everything. Death becomes visible from kilometers away. Vultures are experts at spotting it. Some species do not need a direct view, they follow the behavior of others in the air to locate the end. It takes only one individual to descend for dozens more to follow. In minutes, the ground becomes a scene of chaos. Lean bodies, wings spread in threat, bare necks plunging repeatedly into flesh. Silence is shattered by the crack of bones, harsh caws, and the constant sound of tearing. There is no ritual, no pause. Drought allows no time. Heat accelerates decomposition. Insects arrive immediately, and other predators may appear at any moment. Vultures act with brutal efficiency, they consume quickly, leaving little behind. An animal weakened over months can vanish in mere hours, reduced to bleached bones and dried hide. It is a chilling image. Circling groups of vultures form a living ring around death. They jostle, climb over one another, spread their wings to intimidate. Some walk directly on the carcass as they feed, while others wait at the edges, knowing their turn will come. It is chaos made functional, driven by hunger and opportunity. Drought multiplies these scenes. The more animals fall, the more frequent this inevitable encounter becomes. The sky of the dry savanna fills with dark shadows gliding silently, ever watchful of the ground below. From a distance, vultures may not seem like an immediate threat, yet to the savanna, they are a clear warning. Something has died here, and often, these birds arrive even before life has fully ceased. Animals weakened beyond movement become the focus. Death does not always come with violence. Sometimes it comes with patient waiting. The presence of vultures is a quiet announcement of the inevitable. Drought is not a one-time event in the African savanna, it is a recurring mechanism, shaping populations, redefining territories, and deciding who survives and who vanishes. Nothing that happens is wasted. Nothing occurs at random. Fallen bodies become nourishment for others. Water that recedes concentrates the life that still endures. The suffering of some species supports the survival of others. Drought leaves a lesson impossible to ignore. Strength does not guarantee continuity. Size does not promise a tomorrow. Dominance does not equal survival. In the African savanna, living means knowing when to move, when to endure, and when to accept the end. On a continent where deadly drought spreads like a silent shadow, survival ceases to be a struggle between species and becomes a battle against time, hunger, and thirst. Cracked earth and dry rivers not only reshape the landscape, they redefine the fate of every creature that calls it home. Under these extreme conditions, even the hardiest reach their limits. Drought respects no hierarchy, no strength. It weakens all alike. Some keep moving, driven by instinct. Others are forced to stop, leaving behind stories of endurance rarely seen, yet essential to maintaining the balance of nature. Every fall is not a failure, it is part of an ancient cycle in which life pushes forward at a devastating cost. These silent battles remind us of a profound truth. Wildlife is not cruel, it is honest. Nature does not punish, it simply responds to the limits of the planet. Today, those limits are being tested more than ever. Protecting Africa's ecosystems, conserving water, and respecting wildlife is not only an environmental cause, it is a human responsibility. Because when drought strikes, it is not only animals who lose, we all do. In Africa, where even the strongest can fall, life remains sacred precisely because it is fragile. In the midst of this otherworldly silent expanse, a herd of elk makes its way slowly across the untouched snow. These massive creatures of the frozen north bear enormous antlers, not only as weapons, but as emblems of resilience and strength against the biting winter. They move with measured steps across the snowy plains, ears swiveling constantly for the faintest sound. Every hoofprint sinks deep into the fresh snow, leaving a mark of life itself. Yet in Yellowstone, even these giants are not beyond danger. Every hoofprint sinks deep into the fresh snow, leaving a mark of life itself. Yet in Yellowstone, even these giants are not beyond danger. They do not rush. Patience is their ally. The wind shifts, and the subtle crunch of snow under the elk's hooves carries through the mist. One young elk wanders slightly from the group. The herd leader signals with a glance, and instantly, the animals move as one shadow streaking across the white, dark arrows cutting through the landscape. Without warning, the hunt erupts. The elk charge forward, muscles straining, while the wolves close in, relentless and coordinated. They rotate positions, guiding and pressuring the herd along a precise path. In the wild, the cooperative hunting tactics of wolves stand as one of the most extraordinary examples of evolutionary behavior. They do not strike directly. Instead, they work together with precision, flanking, isolating, and driving their prey toward a place where the balance of power can shift. The air trembles with heavy breaths, the crunch of hooves in the snow, and the echo of a pursuit that may end in life or death. Further ahead, a frozen creek slices across the landscape. Dark water winds beneath a thin veil of ice. The elk pauses for only a moment, then launches itself forward. Its massive frame plunges into the icy water like a living spear. The wolves stop at the bank, growling and pacing, yet none dare brave the freezing current. Even these feared predators are at a disadvantage in deep, frigid water. Their strength and agility fade quickly, and a single misstep could imperil the entire pack. For an instant, time seems to stand still. The elk swims with raw determination, muscles stiff, fur soaked and heavy, yet it presses on. With one final push, it reaches the far shore. Drenched, trembling, but alive, the wolves watch silently, eyes sharp but unyielding. The chance is gone. Victory belongs to the prey, while the hunters face a quiet, humbling defeat. In the wild, especially across the unforgiving lands of Yellowstone, patience is a weapon, not a flaw. Wolves do not waste energy on every attempt. They wait, keenly aware of the exact moment when their prey weakens, when the landscape or the weather tips in their favor. Today may have ended in failure, but hunger will return, bringing with it relentless ferocity. In these frozen lands, no predator can afford prolonged weakness. Time rewards those who endure, who refuse to surrender to the cold. The pack moves back in silence, a hush heavier than defeat itself. No howls echo through the snow-laden trees. Only the rhythm of labored breaths and the crunch of paws in frost breaks the quiet. In the shadows, fleeting expressions pass some frustration, some respect, others simply alert, waiting for the next chance. Leading the way is the alpha, a robust male with dark gray fur and a thick, commanding neck. He does not glance behind. His presence alone maintains order, authority flowing with every step. Beneath that dense coat, a body of agile power waits, muscles coiled, teeth sharp enough to rip into an elk in moments. In nature, true leadership does not come from size alone, but wisdom. The alpha knows how to gauge danger, select the right target, and keep the pack united. The valley pack once consisted of 6 to 8 wolves, a compact but highly organized society. Every member had a role. The leaders charted the path, the flankers closed in, the distractors disrupted the prey's formation, and the young learners watched silently, absorbing the craft of the hunt. In the world of wolves, teamwork is their most lethal weapon, often more decisive than strength. They hunt not with raw power alone, but with strategy, discipline, and a hierarchy every member honors. The alpha pauses on a small rise, scanning the distant plateau. Hunger drives them, yet the pack moves with patience. They spread into a wide arc, approaching a clearing where the air is thick with a primal signal sweat, mud, and something older, raw, unyielding power. Through the mist, a shadow drifts across the gray snow. But this is no ordinary shade, it is a living force. A herd of bison moves across the valley, colossal, almost prehistoric, each weighing nearly 900 kilograms. Their broad heads and short, curved horns could crush a predator with a single strike. Thick coats shield them from the harsh winter, and their massive frames are built to endure, not to flee. Bison stay tightly bonded. At the first sign of threat, they form a defensive circle, horns outward, calves and weaker members in the center. It's an ancient strategy, simple yet brilliant, a living barrier that protects the vulnerable and warns any predator daring to challenge them. The wolves know this, and that is why they do not rush. From the hillside, they watch in silence, eyes sharp, movements deliberate. There is no room for impulsiveness here. Facing a bison without a plan is a death sentence. So they change the rhythm of the hunt. They move along the herd, striking from the flanks, pressing the edges. Every nudge, every parallel dash builds tension, forcing the bison to tighten their formation. Chaos begins to creep in. A weakness appears in the defense. One lone bison starts to fall behind just a brief lapse in balance, but in the wild, a single moment can mark the line between life and death. In the awakening meadows, herds of bison move with deliberate slowness. But the scene has changed, no longer silent shadows drifting over snow, but a raw, primeval force, alive and commanding. Spring has arrived, and with it, the males enter rut. The land decides through strength, endurance, and sheer determination who will pass on their bloodline. In the animal kingdom, especially among massive herbivores, only the fittest, the strongest, and most vigorous win the right to reproduce. Bison fights are not just shows of power, they are nature's crucible, where only the worthy endure. Two colossal males lock eyes, dust clinging to their immense bodies, breath steaming in the dawn light. Then the collision comes. Tons of muscle and bone crash together. Horns slam like breaking boulders. Hooves gouge the earth and dust swirls like a storm. The duel is short but merciless. Every push, every pivot shakes the ground beneath them. In the end, one yields, exhausted, retreating while the victor claims the dominant male, now the guardian of the herd's future, ushers in a new generation. Weeks pass, and the outcome of these silent struggles becomes clear. Between April and June, The females give birth after nearly 9 months of gestation. Within hours, the calves are on shaky legs, and before the day ends, they are running across the meadow. Their fur is pale, still hornless, and their bright eyes reflect awe at the vastness around them. One nibbles at a butterfly flitting above the grass. Another leaps through wildflower, taon, caught in the rhythm of the wind. Soft, uncertain calls float across the fields, carried on the breeze. Close by, a watchful mother surveys her young, calm yet ever alert for danger. Soft, uncertain calls float across the fields, carried on the breeze. Close by, a watchful mother surveys her young, calm yet ever alert for danger. The morning dew had melted, leaving the earth glistening, dotted with golden sparks swaying in the soft breeze. The valley's wolf pack had finally found a rare pause after a brutal winter. They frolicked in the fresh grass, a fleeting image of serenity in a land shaped by survival. From the shadows of the bushes, a small figure emerged cautiously, a wolf pup. Covered in a soft mix of gray and brown fur, with floppy ears and unsteady legs. It sniffed the crisp air and lifted its head skyward, as if the world had just unveiled itself. Then, the wind shifted. The pack froze instantly, muzzles rising. A dry snap echoed through the forest, not the wind, not a deer. Out of the thicket stepped a massive black bear, its broad shoulders hunched, fur thick and dusted with earth. It moved deliberately, exuding a quiet confidence, drawn perhaps by curiosity or the scent of the pup. The alpha male rose silently, muscles coiled and eyes sharp. Without a growl, without a sound, the wolves formed a semicircle, advancing as one. The mother nudged her pup back, while two others stepped forward, creating an unbroken line of defense. Not a single wolf retreated. bear roared, a deep, forest-shaking sound, then surged forward with the force of a living boulder. The encounter was brief but intense. Within moments, the bear paused, breathing heavily, letting out a shorter, exhausted growl. Slowly, it turned and disappeared into the woods, leaving heavy footprints in the damp grass. The wolves held their ground, panting, eyes fixed on the vanishing shadow. They understood the quiet truth: survival is not always about killing. Sometimes it's about endurance, unity, and the strength to stand firm. Most importantly, the pup remained unharmed, a testament to the power of vigilance and family. Across the vast landscapes of Yellowstone, life continues its relentless cycle. Each new sunrise brings fresh opportunities and fresh challenges. Predators hunt, prey struggles, and nature maintains its delicate balance. Here, strength, cunning, and endurance decide who survives and who becomes part of the ever-changing scenery. What about you? How did it feel to witness these battles for survival? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us which moments of this wild journey touched you the most. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the heart of Yellowstone, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can keep exploring the most breathtaking corners of our planet with us. At the northern edge of our planet, where the last glimmers of winter light fade quickly into endless darkness, lies the immense and silent expanse of Siberia. This vast land, spanning over 13 million square kilometers of Russia, stands as one of the world's most pristine and untamed wildernesses. In this realm, ice is not just a season, it is life itself. The Siberian winter is relentless, freezing the land in a seemingly eternal grip. The wind sweeps through the taiga with brutal intensity, whistling across snow-laden branches and leaving a chilling stillness in its wake. Temperatures can plunge to nearly 50 degrees below zero, and snow blankets the land continuously for weeks. Amid this frozen solitude, life persists in extraordinary forms. The Siberian tiger, the largest cat on Earth, prowls the deep snow with ghostly silence. Its thick fur and powerful build reflect a life forged in isolation and hardened by the extreme cold. Every tiger claims a massive territory, stretching across hundreds of square kilometers, where each step carries risk and reward. Food is scarce, forcing it to hunt relentlessly from wild boar and elk to scavenging when prey is scarce. In this harsh environment, even the mightiest predators must fight tirelessly every day to survive. When the harsh winter finally loosens its icy grip over Siberia, life stirs once more. The snow that had blanketed the land for months begins to retreat, revealing the dark, damp forest floor. Tiny green shoots push through the thawing earth, while rivers, long frozen, start flowing again, murmuring as if the heartbeat of the wilderness has returned. In this awakening landscape, one of the region's most impressive creatures emerges. Deep within an ice-laden den, the Siberian brown bear stirs from nearly 6 months of hibernation. With a weight that can reach 600 kilograms. first steps on the wet ground are hesitant and clumsy, but soon the bear regains its full strength. Every movement shakes the earth beneath its massive frame, and its curved claws dig into the soil with purpose. Hunger drives it forward, and the search for food begins immediately. Despite its massive size, the bear is cunning and adaptable. It roots through the soil for edible tubers, climbs slopes to reach thorny shrubs, and overturns decaying logs to find insects and larvae, making the most of the short Siberian summer. The true spectacle begins when the salmon swim upstream to spawn. Bears gather along the riverbanks, eyes narrowed against the bright sun, ears alert to the faintest splash. In a sudden, precise motion, the bear plunges into the icy water, claws slicing through the current, seizing a wriggling salmon. Water sprays in all directions as the bear settles on the shore, devouring its prey with focused calm. Each meal restores energy and builds the fat reserves necessary to survive the next long winter. A fully grown brown bear can consume up to 40 kilograms of food in a single day. Its existence is a continuous cycle of movement, foraging, and survival. In Siberia, time is merciless, and the summer is brief, a fleeting window of life before the cold returns. The taiga was bathed in the copper light of evening. Sunlight streamed through the tall pines, illuminating the moist forest floor with a warm, golden hue. In this quiet wilderness, a mother bear and her 3 cubs moved cautiously through the underbrush. The mother, a powerful female with fur matted in mud and resin, carefully picked blueberries while her 6-month-old cubs tumbled over roots, chasing insects and exploring the forest with clumsy curiosity. The calm was fleeting. From the far slope, a massive figure emerged from the shadows. A fully grown male bear, nearly a third larger than the mother, his dark, smoky fur stretched over solid muscle, approached with careful steps. His small, piercing eyes scanned the surroundings. In the wild, no space is ever completely safe, and territory is constantly contested. For adult male bears, cubs that do not belong to them are not companions, they are potential threats. In some cases, males will kill unrelated young to bring the female back into heat and ensure their own offspring inherit the next generation. That afternoon, this harsh instinct made itself known once more. The encounter was short but intense, a flurry of roars and swipes. The male eventually backed down, not out of fear, but realizing the risk of injury was too high. With a final roar, he turned and disappeared into the forest, leaving only his presence echoed in the trees. At dawn, pale light spread across the taiga, settling over the exhaustion of the previous night. The mother bear stood, her fur tangled and streaked with blood, yet her eyes remained sharp and resolute. Her cubs followed closely, unaware of the danger they had narrowly avoided. The mother had risked her life to protect them, and her vigilance remained unbroken. With the first morning rays breaking through the canopy, the family began their journey toward a distant stream where the salmon were beginning their run. The water lay over 3 kilometers away, a long trek for such young cubs, but necessary. Summer is the season of survival lessons, how to forage, sense danger, understand the sounds of the forest, and most importantly, how to endure on their own. in the shadowy depths of Siberia's ancient pine forests, where sunlight barely pierces the thick canopy, a tiny master of the air moves almost unseen. The Siberian flying squirrel may be small and light as a handful of leaves, yet it possesses a skill in motion unmatched by most mammals. Throughout the day, it rests tucked away in hollow birches, wrapped in a nest of dried moss and bark fragments, appearing like a soft bundle of forest debris. As evening falls and the taiga is bathed in a pale green twilight, the little squirrel slowly awakens. Its dark, glossy eyes reflect the faint moonlight, allowing it to navigate with astonishing precision in the gloom. Each movement is deliberate and silent, as if the air itself supports its glide. Unlike other creatures, it does not leap or bound, it floats. From a branch, it pauses for a moment, gauging distance and the current of the wind. Then, with a delicate push, it launches into the void. A thin membrane of skin stretching from its forelimbs to hind limbs unfurls, forming a natural glider. The squirrel doesn't fall its sails. It drifts between the trees, steering with its tail and limbs, moving through the forest like a living shadow, a breath of wind taking flight. As night deepens over the Siberian forest, the tiny flying squirrel moves silently through the ancient trees. Its fur, soft and muted in tone, blends perfectly with the shadows, rendering it almost invisible to any predator. Each leap is calculated, every glide precise, an aerial dance perfected over countless generations. By night, it forages quietly, nibbling on tender shoots, fungi clinging to damp bark, and occasional seeds hidden among the moss. It takes only what it needs, conserving energy for the long winter ahead. Unlike larger forest dwellers, it does not rely on brute force or sharp claws. It thrives on stealth, agility, and careful planning. When winter arrives, snow settles thickly on the branches, yet the flying squirrel remains in the treetops. Its fur thickens, its glides shorten, and caches of food become vital for survival. Every stored morsel is a lifeline, each movement measured to preserve warmth and strength. In a land dominated by tigers, wolves, bears, and eagles, this little creature is neither feared nor dominant. Yet its quiet existence embodies the subtle, magical beauty of nature. A shadow slips among the trees, a whisper of life, a reminder that even in the harshest wilderness, gentleness and resilience endure. In the heart of the Siberian winter, the landscape is a vast sea of ice and snow, stretching endlessly under a pale, fragile sun. The forest lies in silence, stripped bare of life's usual chorus. Only the wind whispers through the frozen trees, and the crunch of ice underfoot occasionally breaks the stillness, announcing the presence of those who endure against all odds. Through this frozen expanse, a herd of muskoxen moves with calm determination. Each massive creature draped in thick, shaggy fur is a living relic of the Ice Age, a silent witness to millennia of survival. Their dense outer hair nearly touches the snow, while a softer, insulated undercoat caveat keeps them alive in temperatures that can plunge far below -50 degrees. It is a coat designed by evolution, both soft and unyielding, a perfect adaptation to the harshest conditions on Earth. The herd does not hurry. Step by step, they press forward, leaving deep impressions in the snow that mark their slow but steady journey. Their pace is deliberate, measured, the kind born from centuries of living in a land where patience is survival. Each hoofbeat is a testament to endurance, a rhythm in the silent symphony of the frozen wilderness. In this frozen realm, life persists not through speed or strength alone, but through resilience, cooperation, and the wisdom to survive the relentless winter. As the storm subsides, the tundra falls into a quiet, almost sacred calm. The muskoxen continue their slow, deliberate trek, each step pressing into the snow, leaving deep impressions that will soon vanish under fresh flurries. The calves follow closely, wobbling but persistent, learning the rhythm of survival from their elders. Every movement is a lesson in patience, endurance, and the quiet strength that has carried their species through millennia. Above them, the sky lightens with a pale, frosty hue. The wind softens, carrying the faint scent of hidden mosses and lichens. The herd spreads slightly, grazing cautiously, yet never straying far from the protective circle of adults. In these vast, frozen landscapes, life is measured not in speed or cunning alone, but in resilience. Every breath, every step, every shared glance among the herd is a testament to a species perfectly adapted to the harshest winters on Earth. Here in Siberia, to survive is not to conquer the elements, but to endure them together strong, united, and unwavering against the relentless cold. Across the remote wilderness of Yellowstone and the vast frozen expanses of Siberia, life persists with awe-inspiring force. In these lands, predators lie in wait, prey fight to survive, and the timeless rhythm of the natural world continues, precise and unchanging over thousands of years. Here, survival is not merely a contest of strength, it is a lesson in resilience, strategy, and adaptation. It shows us that raw power does not always win, that collaboration can outmatch instinct, and that even in the harshest climates, life finds a way to endure and flourish. While wolves, bison, and bears follow their ancient cycles, humanity casts the greatest shadow. Forests shrink, rivers grow toxic, and the fragile balance of these ecosystems teeters on the brink. Yet hope remains alive. Every protected area, every conservation initiative, and every individual who takes action becomes a spark capable of changing the fate of an entire habitat. To protect the wild is not merely an act of compassion, it is essential for our own survival. Our destinies are intertwined. If these creatures vanish, so too does a part of our world. For an instant, time seems to stand still. The elk swims with raw determination, muscles stiff, fur soaked and heavy, yet it presses on. With one final push, it reaches the far shore. The rolling plains of Yellowstone will continue to resound with the thundering steps of bison. Wolves will lift their calls beneath the Siberian auroras. And if we take the time to truly listen, we will understand that the wilderness does not require our mercy. It commands our respect. If this journey through the wild inspired you, show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Explore with us the untamed corners of the planet, where every life is vital and every choice leaves an impact.